Hello, you are watching the second part of the tutorial about the specially annotating language. And here I will introduce more advanced features that will make your configuration even more expressive. What else can specially annotating language do? Let's say you want to show in the training data that some of the list items may take place much less frequently than the others. For this purpose, you can use weights. Weights are numbers that you assign to the list items. Imagine you have a carrier phrase that is less probable to be said than the other carrier phrases. Let's say, order me a flight. And we can assign weights for these items. And the smaller weight here. And the numbers mean the proportion of the items occurring in the training data. By default, the weights of all the items are equal to 1. In the case if you don't define all the weights, the rest of the weights will be recalculated according to what you have defined to preserve the proportion. So in this case, the frequency of this phrase in the training data will be 3 times as frequent as the other phrases. You may also have floats as weights, which will better reflect the probabilistic meaning of these weights. So something like this. Yeah. But in this case, you should keep in mind that if you don't define the weights for all the items, each item by default equals to 1. So if you define something like this, so this phrase will be less frequent than the others because the others are equal to 1. If we take an optional part, I mentioned this feature in the previous video, it's also possible to set a weight for it. The difference between the optional part and the list is that with the optional part, the default weight is 0.5, and the rule is that we need to define a weight that is less than 1. So it is more of probabilistic meaning. So this means that this part with the date will be generated in the 70% of all the training examples that are generated from this particular template. That's it about the weights. And before introducing a new feature, let's add one more variable. It's the travel class. It can be business or economy. And we should also insert it inside of a template. Yeah, we should add in some class. The problem with these templates may be that the users can start their utterance with specifying the travel class, or they can say it in the end. To handle this, you can use permutation syntax. With this feature, you can show that the order of your template parts is not strict. Let's use a permutation with our first template. So you split the parts of your templates with the pipe. And this looks pretty much like the list, but you also put an exclamation sign here. This means that you can say the parts of this template in random order and they will still be processed. And if you look at the second template, you will notice that it is kind of the subset of the first template. So we can just remove the second template. And what I would recommend is to make the travel class also optional, because the users may not say it. The configuration that we have now is really good in terms of the amount of training data generated from it, and we can reach it with only a couple of templates. In many cases, using list variables like these and optional parts is quite enough to build a great app configuration. If you are building something like a flight booking application, you probably have a very long list of cities or other items. In this case, I would recommend you to visit special documentation, it is this link, and to read about the lookups. So there is a possibility to import a large list from a file and use it in your configuration, but currently it is not supported in the dashboard, but it is supported in the command line. And also we may want to add a class entity here. Yeah, and we need to add it here. And now let's deploy our advanced flight booking configuration. And the training may take some time. Now it is trained and we can try it. I want to fly from Amsterdam to New York in business class on Saturday. Yeah, and this also works. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and I wish you successfully build your application.